What's up, everyone? It's Michael Fight, and welcome back to the show. Alright guys, I just got back from X-Men Apocalypse, and I'm going to tell you all about it. The first half of this, the majority of it is going to be very non-spoilery. It's just going to be kind of opinions. And then the second half, I'm just going to drop two spoilers. Just two spoilers. And you're probably wondering, you'd be like, hey, Michael, I haven't seen you in a while. I've been, busy. Let me just say this right off the bat. I have two Apocalypse tattoos. I have two of them. Right? I'm insane. I know. But I have two Apocalypse tattoos. So the bar is set really, really high for me on what I expect Apocalypse. Now, I was a huge comic book nerd growing up, so I read all of the Apocalypse comic books, and I was a huge fan of the X-Men series in the 90s. I watched every single episode, and if you were a 90s kid, only 90s kid will remember, you watched it too, and you loved the X-Men Apocalypse series. It was amazing. Really, really great things. Now, I'm going to get in and I'm going to do my non-spoilery version to talk about this movie. Now, the thing is my expectation was set really, really high, as I mentioned, and it was 90% met. I am actually very impressed with this movie. Bryan Singer did a really good job, and the writers did a really good job of building a believable story that didn't far too much from the comic book series, but made it enough of its own where you didn't feel like, well, I know exactly what's going to happen. It was really close, though. It's very, very on par, and it actually did a really good job of leaving it open to have, you know, things come back or to reference things to come, and actually kind of in a chronological order if you were a fan of the comics. So you kind of see things that are being laid out now that you're like, oh yeah, this happened in the comic, and then when the other comic came out, there's the whole thing, which is really, really cool. Now, there were a few scripted lines that were just bad. The first scene where we see Scott Summers meet Jean Grey, it was awful. It was just poorly written, and there was a few things where I'm like, come on. Like, none of it seemed realistic that the characters would actually say those things. But, mind you, I am super nitpicking on this fact, because the actual story arc of the entire thing, Apocalypse comes back. Again, this is not spoiler. This is just generic summary you could read in any sort of thing. Apocalypse is brought back, gets his four horsemen in the way of Angel, Psylocke, Magneto, and Storm, and basically wants to reclaim the world because in Sabanor, meaning the first, he was the first mutant. He's looking to basically reclaim and claim mutant territory. Now, I know if you weren't a big comic book fan and you've seen the other X-Men movies, you're like, blah, like, this is the same plot of every X-Men movie ever, is one mutant thinking they're better than the other, and then, you know, trying to take over the world. Well, guess what? That's every X-Men comic as well, so sorry. But it was pretty fantastic, and there's a really great kind of guest appearance dead in the middle of the movie, and it was really, really cool. I freaking loved it. Like, that scene alone gave me hope for something else, and it's going to be really, really cool. So I have to say, if you at all were fans of the original X-Men movies, the X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past, go see this movie. If you were so pissed off at X-Men Last Stand that you wanted to like write as many angry letters as possible, go see this movie. You're going to feel better about the X-Men series. You're going to feel like they're finally on track and they're finally doing what they should have done. Okay, guys, now I'm going to move on to the spoilery section, but before I do, stay to the very end of the credits, get your phone out if you weren't a huge comic book nerd like myself, and be ready to Google. Now, the spoiler section that I'm going to do, I'm only going to do two things. One, I'm going to talk about the middle of the movie, and that is Wolverine wreaking havoc. Now, if this is what Wolverine is going to look like, the R-rated Wolverine is going to be fucking great, and it's going to be amazing. So I have very good faith if they do anything like the 4-minute scene where he existed, it's going to be fantastic, and I have insane faith in it. I don't even care what the plot is. It could just be him, Berserker mode, killing people the entire for 2 fucking hours, and I'd probably go see that movie 3 times, because it was just that cool to watch Wolverine unleash and just be super animalistic. Very, very neat. Now, The other spoiler part I'm going to talk about is how the movie actually ends. I actually love that they actually all kind of came together. Now, being a comic book fan, I kind of hate that they're painting Mystique out to be this really good character, because when in fact she was actually a very bad character. And in fact, she was even worse than Magneto on many an occasion, whereas Magneto, you know, still had that sort of friendship with Xavier, and there was kind of that mutual, like, friendship and respect, and they kind of like, well, listen, you know, I don't really like you, but I'm not going to kill you because, you know, we've been friends. Mystique was kind of like, no, fuck that, I'm going to kill all you people. And so I kind of don't like that they're playing Mystique into this, like, super good guy, but I guarantee that's just because of Jennifer Lawrence, and I would have to say, of everybody in this movie, Jennifer Lawrence was the weakest person of this entire film. I would say the strongest characters in this film were Quicksilver. He was absolutely fantastic. I think Apocalypse was really great, who was played by Poe Dameron. So if you saw Star Wars, that's Poe Dameron as Apocalypse, and he did a really, really good job. I actually loved that they altered his voice so that it ventured from like normal to like godlike, and it kind of did it in like a wave of tones, which is really, really cool. I don't think that they did a very good job of Angel. I think they did his character a very poor service, and I thought he could be utilized more, and I don't like the fact that he basically died, so that kind of sucked. But for the next part of this, I'm going to leave you with one image, and if you were a comic book fan or you religiously watched the 90s X-Men series, this one image is going to basically give you the biggest boner, guy or girl, that you will ever have in your life for cinema and story arc. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Share with your friends, and I love you. Here's your image.